Yeah, recently Ogun State government, through the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, revoked 20 licenses of orphanage owners in Ogun State, having not been able to measure to required standards and not even operating within the ambit of the law. So, as it is today, those 20 orphanage homes are still under consideration if they are able to meet up with the required law. We are being joined in the studio live now by that ministry's head, the woman that supervises the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development in Ogun State, Honorable ADIJAT ADELEYE. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Yeah. And of course, my colleague is also with me. Make Abeokuta together will be drilling the only woman in between us this morning.
That is why you have placed me strategically in between the two of you. Okay, God is my help.
All right.
Now, help us shed or speak to the licenses that were revoked recently.
When my darling brother was speaking earlier, he mentioned 20 licenses being revoked. Yes, initially we actually revoked 20, but along the line we discovered that there are actually still some. So at the moment, the provisional licenses that has been revoked is about 33. But out of these 33, we have asked about 31 of them to reapply. To reapply at no cost, in as much as they can show us evidence of their 2024 license renewal, because they're supposed to be renewing annually. And one of the reasons why they're supposed to be doing that is for us to be able to go back there, see what they're doing. Are they still complying with the guidelines? Are they now going out of place and all that? And I think because that has not really been happening for a while, so everyone is just doing whatever they want. But about 2 of these, we are actually thinking of revoking their licenses permanently because they've been found culpable. And we are trying to do something that will serve as a measure of deterrence to others that might be involved or that might want to think about getting involved in such acts. I don't want to use the word child trafficking now. I was talking to someone and they said selling of children, and the person said that is child trafficking. I said, okay, I'm just trying to use another word that is a bit lesser, that is mild, you know. So we've revoked 33. We've asked 31 of them to reapply, and that process is ongoing. Though they appeal to us that we should restore their licenses, but we let them know that that cannot be done. We cannot continue to do the same thing the same way, and we are expecting a different result. We've been on this issue of child trafficking, child labor, and what have you, for a long while, even before I got to the ministry. So it is high time that we come down heavily on defaulters.
Okay, but more worrisome here is the number 33. It doesn't mean Ogun State. What will be happening that Ogun State has such a number of orphanage homes?
Those are even, that is for those who actually registered. I know that there's possibility that we might be having some that are unregistered, that we don't know yet, and we just want to, this thing we have put in phases, we just want to finish up with this first phase, that is sanitizing sanitizing the operation of those we know. But after this, we are going out there. It's no longer business as usual. We are going out there, we want to see how many homes or how many people are running homes or orphanages, and they are not registered. I've been informed about 1 or 2 that what they are doing there is so sordid.
Okay, because your ministry or even the governor of the state is averse to child trafficking, child labor, and the likes of that. If some people out there now tag Ogun State as a baby manufacturing state, is that not correct with this number of?
Well, people are saying this because we are speaking out. We are being sincere with ourselves. We want to rid our society of all these bad eggs, and we are not lying to ourselves. Maybe because of the position we occupy in the country. We are gateway state, mind you. We are gateway to Lagos, gateway to Oyo State, gateway to even international country. You know, so when they are coming in, there's no way you get to Lagos without passing through Ogun State. There's no way you go out of Lagos without passing through Ogun State. And Ogun State is the main hub when it comes to the economy of this country. So we tend to get a lot of this, not because our state is bad as a state, but because of all the people we are sharing borders with. But we are speaking loud to say, yes, we are gateway state, yes, we are so accommodating, but we are not going to be accommodating to anyone who will not respect the Child Rights Act. We are not going to be accommodating to anyone who do not respect the rights of the children of Ogun State and Nigeria in general. So if we are saying our truth out, that doesn't mean it is happening more in Ogun State than other states. I know what goes down in some neighboring states, but because they are not talking about it, they are even wondering how we are doing it. They are looking at, okay, what is the measure you have put in place? What are you doing? I know my colleague that will call me, oh, this thing is even worse in my state. But even up till now, they are not taking actions. But in Ogun State, despite the fact that we know, yes, it's not as if we are as bad as some states, we are taking action because we are people of actions.
Now, give us a little bit of details, really, as to why these licenses were revoked, particularly those two that you said you may not actually be considering. This could as well serve as an eye-opener, really, to unsuspecting audience.
Okay, even before I got into before I became the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, you hear people saying, oh, Ogun State's Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, we are the sell children. And for me, my integrity is at stake. It took me years to build my name. And when you do some things, or when you allow some things to be done under you, people will not look at it that you might not know anything about it. They feel you are involved. So there's a need for me to create a clear balance of this is who I am. So when I got to the ministry, I was still hearing all these snippets, side talks of happenings, most especially in our Department of Social Welfare. When I got there, it was a level 10 staff that was acting director. When we have people who are capable, who have the knowledge to run the department. So we started a process of trying to put our house in order. And we were doing that. I met with all the directors. I am averse to this. I don't know if you've been doing this before I got here, but now that I am here, let us work together. Whatever we can do to support each other or ourselves, we will do. But as far as child trafficking or child sale is concerned, I am totally averse to it. So we had that understanding. But unfortunately, sometimes earlier this year, we stumbled on an information of a staff of ours that has put a child in a home, a private home, because we equally have a few bad eggs. In every 12, there will always be a Judas. Yes. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how much you appeal to people, the person that will not listen will not listen. So that happened. And in the course of investigating, those people claim that it was one of our staff that brought the child to their orphanage. Now, that boy was taken to an orphanage. Then from the first orphanage, they took him to another orphanage. Eventually, because I don't want to take too much time, they put up the boy for adoption. Adoption to a 95-year-old Beninese man. Number one, this is two things. How can you put up a child up for adoption to a 95-year-old man? And another issue is, this is a boy that was not found wandering. This is a boy that had paternal issue. So it means his parents are somewhere. They might come tomorrow. But because at that stage, somebody needed to bring up money for DNA test, and that person is not forthcoming with that. Now you are putting up that boy for adoption. You are not just putting him up for adoption, you are putting him up for adoption to a 95-year-old man. You are not just putting him up for adoption, you are putting him up for adoption to a Beninese, which means a non-Nigerian that lives outside Nigeria. It means the boy will be taken out, and that is no trace. So when the family comes back, what do we tell the family? To make matter worse, there was no record in the ministry. I found out a lot about this. People just come, adopt, no record. You know, you find it difficult to, I want to, at the tap of a finger, okay, I want the full record of this so-so person, and you bring it out. Data is very important. That we were lacking. We were just trying to put our house in order now. So when that came, I got them arrested, but after so much, a lot of things went down. They had to do about 2 nights, you know, in the cell. So they were eventually released. So I thought that would have served as a lesson to our people. But about a month or two, about 2 months ago, we stumbled on another case. A child who was found wandering in Oyo State. And one of our staff was called because the boy said his parents lived in Ibafo. We do that between ourselves. If we find a child here, the first thing I would do, if the child is old enough to tell us where he's coming from, is to call the Ministry of Women Affairs in that state to say, oh, this is what we have found out. We do contact tracing.
Okay.
So Oyo State handed over the child to Ogun State, but instead of the person that took over the child to put the child in our orphanage, in our own home. Yes, once in a while when our home is filled up, there are a few other homes that we reach out to keep our children. But there must be record that this child has been taken over by Ogun State, and we must do that contact tracing. I think during this week, maybe about 2 children, we were supposed to bring about 2 children to Ogtv for you to help us put them on TV and see if their parents can come up, if anyone can identify them. Okay. It's part of what we do when it comes to contact tracing. Now, instead of that, the boy was put in a private home. And the private home where the boy was put, the person that was there running that home was involved in the first issue that happened earlier this year. So I didn't even know anything was happening. The boy was handed over to Ogun State last year, November, I think. I was already Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development. I was not in the know. There is no record in the ministry. So when I got to know, about 2 months ago, you know, they wanted to, what made the issue to come into the open? They said Oyo State called that we should return the boy to them, that the parents have now shown their face, which I'm now even beginning to doubt. So they asked for the boy, and they had to go and bring the boy from only God knows where, trying to sneak the boy back
into government
facility in order to hand over to Oyo. And that was when I got to know. So when I got to know, because I know that there is a lot of investigation going on our ministry, we had to do the needful. We had to take necessary steps, because I don't want anybody to destroy my name. Up till today, that boy is still with us. Oyo State that they claim that is asking for the boy back. I called the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development in Oyo State. She said she doesn't know anything about it. In fact, I had to do an official letter to her to ask what is their involvement. Are they really the ones asking for the boy back? And she said she is not aware
Okay, can we then succinctly prove that this issue of orphanage homes and the likes of that, people are making hell of money from it?
Oh,
why
it's cash cow.
It's so lucrative.
It is cash cow for a lot of people. At the moment, the entire money, the whole money that you need to adopt in Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development is under 500,000. We're just trying to review our money now, you know. But they will ask people to go and bring money in millions. There are two ways. There are times that they don't even bring the child in under the ministry. I discovered a couple when after I became commissioner, where children were given out to couples without record. So I had to ask that they must bring back those children. And when they were begging, I said, I'm even doing you, I'm doing you a favor. Because tomorrow you might be going out with that child, and somebody will just accost you and tell you, that child is mine. And you will tell them, oh, I adopted this child. And they will ask you for documents. Where is the documentation you are going to show? So that is one way they do it. It won't even be on record in the ministry. Another way is, it will be on record, but they will tell you there's no child, but there is one. Maybe if you can pay so amount of money, they will give the child to you. Let me equally say here, and I think I said this here before. In the last 1 year, in the first 1 year of this administration.
In the second term? In
the second term. Okay. When this administration clocked 1 year, I have not clocked 1 year on that seat. Okay. We did an analysis. How many applications have we gotten in the last 1 year? Okay. We had over 300 applications, but we're only able to give out about 22 or 24 children. People come and they feel, oh, we have children somewhere. We don't want to give out. I say this all the time. We don't run a baby factory. We don't run a poultry where you will say, oh, the chickens have hatched, have laid egg, and in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, those eggs will hatch into chicks, and we can now pick them and begin to give them out.
So why were you unable to meet that demand?
It is not, that is exactly what I'm saying. So this is not as if children are not being manufactured. They are not being produced. The children we give out are children abandoned children, that we got on the street. And now, let me equally say this. On one hand, we do go out on sensitization, on campaign, trying to appeal to our people not to throw their children away when they have them. And on the other hand, people want children for adoption. So if one is working, it will surely affect the other. If our sensitization to people to say, oh, don't throw your child away. Don't go out all because you want to make money, then you go and get yourself pregnant and sell the child. If that is working, it will surely tell on the number of children we are going to find on the street. So it is not as if we are getting those children somewhere and we are just, it is children that we are able to find. There are times that in 3 months, we might not get a single child.
Okay, peradventure, the existing law is too weak. That is why we have all these loopholes. What has been your efforts, to reach out to the House of Assembly to look more inwardly into the laws, existing laws guiding orphanage homes and the likes of the operational issues and the likes of, so that we can begin to have a perfect, it may not be that perfect, it is something that
close to perfection. Well, thank you. 2 days ago, the national president of Association of Private Orphanages was in my office. And he came because he saw what we did in Ogun State, and he was really impressed. He told us that this is what he has been looking for, trying to sanitize the system. That as far as they are concerned, I didn't even know that they have a code of conduct. It was that day that he gave us their code of conduct, their guidelines, gave us all sorts. And when you look at that, you'll be impressed. So now we are trying to work with them. As far as laws are concerned, I am aware that the public service rule of the state has just been amended not too long ago. And I have information that there's something on adoption of babies. So we are still in the course of trying to lay our hands on what that is saying, the provision there, so that we can see how to inculcate that into the guidelines we'll be giving the private orphanage operators. But even among ourselves, within our own ministry, we've come up with a couple of guidelines that will make it a bit, more stringent than it used to be. It's no longer you can't just wake up one day and say, oh, I have a calling, I want to open orphanage. You must complete that process.
Don't you think you should scale it up by getting a bill across to the House of Assembly?
Yeah, it's not out of place. Okay. Let me tell you this. Since I got to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, I can say this is the first time, now is the first time I'm having a permanent secretary whose energy, whose vision is commensurate with mine. Apologies to everyone. I think the last time I had such was when I was in culture and tourism with Mrs. Oloko. But now, with our current permanent secretary, who coincidentally is equally a lawyer, and a woman who has handled DPP. So you can understand that she knows what she's doing.
Experience.
Years of experience. And that zeal is there. We share the same zeal about changing the narrative. So I am now in a position where I can say, oh, if you don't see me, whatever you discuss with the permanent secretary, take it that you have spoken with me. Okay? And when you have something like this, it's easier for you to move on. So all the laws that has to do with Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, we are calling for in order to review. I'm a past lawmaker.
Sure.
The permanent secretary is a lawyer, and she's coming from Ministry of Justice. So you can imagine what the combination of the two of us can do. Okay. But that started about 2 months ago. And there's so much to be done. And that is part of the changes you are seeing now. Okay. And you are still going to see a whole lot more because we are just starting.
Okay, perhaps before Dominic comes in, sorry Dominic, let me just ask this follow-up question to that. How much of support are you getting from the governor of the state? Recently, the federal government said they have increased inmates feeding allowance by 50%. Peradventure, these children that you are putting up in those homes are also having life the way it should be. And how much of support are you getting from the governor?
I can say, without mincing words, that the governor has been so supportive when it comes to running the homes. We actually have 2 homes. We have an orphanage and we have a juvenile correctional home. In fact, I do tell people, if the governor doesn't sign anything, the first thing he signs for us, even before the quota comes in, is the feeding of those children. The care of those children. It is very, very paramount to His Excellency. And maybe I can just use this opportunity to, on behalf of those children, say thank you to him. We have our children, some of them are in school, some of them are just resuming again now. Even some of them that are in our correctional center, we don't believe in because you have been put here, then you should just be eating, sleeping, and doing nothing. It is called correctional center for a purpose. You must be able to come in, and by the time you are going out, be a better person and be useful to yourself. We have some of those children who, they have really changed. But for one reason or the other, let me use a girl for an instance. That girl is very smart. But the court is ready to release her to the parents. But they told the parents, if you don't change your location, as in your residential, location, we cannot release this girl back to you. So that girl has been there doing nothing. The girl is resuming this month in school. All to the...
All expenses paid.
All expenses paid.
Even up to university level?
Well, in as much as they are still with us, then we are committed to making sure that they get education. Okay. And not just any education, quality education.
Now let us look at the process really that we have in place at the moment in adopting a child in Ogun State. I'm sure this information would actually be so useful to those who may anytime want to adopt, so that they will not make errors, which others have made in the past.
In the past, you see directors from other departments getting involved in adoption when they are not supposed to. The department that supervises anything called adoption is the Department of Social Welfare Services. At the moment, the department is being headed by Ms. Gerade ADELEYE. Any attempt by any other person is illegal. So, unfortunately, except if I have to check my phone, maybe if you want me to give a number, And we have equally said this for homes, for even our assessors, our court assessors. If they don't see the signature of either the commissioner or that of the permanent secretary, they must not take in that child. If you do that, then you are liable. So if you want to adopt, go to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, OK Moson, Block B, downstairs. I don't know the number of the room number now.
Okay.
Go there, ask for Department of Social Welfare Services. And make sure, yes, there are other staff that can attend to you. But at times, it's good that you see the director. And the director can now hand you over to the staff that we attend to.
Okay, because we have not gone digital.
Yes, we are. It's a long one. It's a long process.
You see,
Rome was not built in a day.
Okay, now the question is, if government is trying this much to make sure that they give a good welfare, a good life to those that are in true government homes, how much of that are the individuals that are running homes like that too, although doing, because you need to set a standard for them. It is not for you, it's not the best for you to now begin to give the children to look malnourished, not being well fed, and the likes of that. Maybe that is why some of them are not running up to the standard required of government.
Running a home is like a calling. If you don't have the calling, don't get involved. And if you don't, there are times that you will feel like you want to give back. But if you don't have the wherewithal, don't get involved. Because at the end of the day, yes, you have a good heart, you want to do something good, but the fact is you don't have the wherewithal. We don't want situations whereby people will be using children, our children, because all the children in Ogun State are children to the governor. We don't want a situation where some people will be using them as a source of making money for themselves. And we've seen this. It's part of the reason why part of our guideline now is that for you to open an orphanage, you must have a minimum balance of 1.5 million.
As take-up grants.
You must have that.
Okay,
well,
take off.
Yes. You must have a structure in place. Okay. And that structure must have different rooms depending on which type of children you want to care for. Are they special children? Okay. Are they normal children? So depending on the type of children, 0 to 5, 5 upward. You know, it's not a one size fits all.
So there's no
depends on.
There's no age limitation to children you can.
No, when a child is over 18, he's no longer a child under the law. But as long as they are still children, you can choose to say, okay, I want to have 5 to 10. But there's another thing. There are a lot of homes that want to keep children in their home, in their orphanage, like they are parents to those children. And we have said no, except when the child is not adoptable. Inasmuch as a child is adoptable, that child must be put up for adoption. Because the best place a child can thrive is in the midst of a family. But some want us to, you know, at times they will even come to us, we should give them children to run their home, for them to run their home, we should. No, we don't want them to institutionalize those children. And what do I mean by those who are adoptable and those who are not adoptable? There are children that you see them maybe, okay, let me cite an instance. There was a time 3 kids were brought in from Shagamu. The father has run away before the mother died, then later the mother died. So they came, the neighbors took care of them for a while, but along the line, they felt they are not doing the right thing. So they brought them to us. Those children are not adoptable. Yes, their mother is dead, but we don't have record that the father is dead. So what if any family member comes back? So we can put those ones in an orphanage where they can be there, they'll be going to school, you know, they have their life. We cannot put them up for adoption. And this is another message for adoptees, because they will be like, but they have children in their home. They have children in... No, it is not all children that are adoptable. Then at times, it is special children we have in their numbers. We have those ones in their numbers.
So those running private orphanage homes, are they also obliged to send these children to school?
For you to tell us you want to run a home, it means it's included. You cannot just keep children in your orphanage without sending them to school. Those who cannot go to school must learn one skill or the other. In fact, part of the guideline again is that you must be registered with either General Hospital or PHC closest to you.
Okay.
So that you can give those children good care.
Wonderful guidelines, no doubt about that. I mean, but we all know that it's one thing to have the guidelines on paper, is another thing to implement them. So how much of monitoring really do you carry out to ensure that these people stick to the guidelines? Because there are reports that most of these children most especially the private-owned orphanages, are deprived of the basic necessities that a child should have to grow.
Yeah, thank you. We are trying to put up a watertight, though there's no system that is completely watertight. But as much as possible, we are trying to put up a watertight process. And that is why we are looking into setting up a task force that will include some of our social workers, that will include security agencies, that will include civil society organizations, you know, that will include child protection network, you know, different organs that works with children. Okay. And that is one. Two, we are equally designing at least biannual, if it is twice in a year, meeting with private home orphanages. Again, we are looking at, like today now, SOS is having, they are in town to train some of our social workers, okay. You know. So we are going to be having such training all the time, you know. To one of the things that the national president of private home owners is discussing with us is the method that best practice that fits into today's world as far as running of private homes is concerned. Where processes that we can put in place, and wherever we are, it makes it easier for us to monitor what is going on anywhere.
Okay. All right.
We are not going to take people at their face value, because I've seen a bit. In fact, there's a movie I was watching on Netflix. It's a South African movie where the woman runs, is the House of Grace, where the woman runs an orphanage. But what she does, but in the community, everybody sees her as a savior. So we'll be going deeper to investigate who is this person. If you come to us now, know that you are trying to open yourself to us for investigation. We might not tell you. We are working with security operatives now to help us see what is the antecedent of that person. Is it truly this person wants to give back to the society, or this person wants to use this as a smoke screen? So all this we are putting together.
Is it possible to use a template of SOS Village in Ijebu for those who want to have a private orphanage homes? Because that is a complete world on its own. Getting in there, even a child might not want to even leave. He or she might want to grow up there. We have seen those who have gotten married from that SOS Village, and it's been run by...
SOS Village is more of an institutionalized center. And that is one of the things we are trying to discourage. Like, if a child is adoptable, there's no point keeping that child in that orphanage.
Okay, okay.
That doesn't mean SOS is not doing a good job. But we don't want to encourage that. Because we will not say because someone has done a good job with it, that the other person that is coming up to say, I want to use that template, doesn't have a hidden agenda. And like I said, it's not a one-size-fits-all glove. If we have a couple of homes that are doing well. I don't want to start mentioning names now. We have a couple of them that are doing well, that when you get there, when you see the children they are taken care of,
right,
you will be impressed with what they are doing.
Okay.
So we will pick what we can. We are open. We are not averse to ideas, innovations, We are open to suggestions. Okay. So we pick and tap from those ones that are working, while we look at how to tackle those ones that are not working.
All right, Ogun State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Honorable ADIJAT, I want to appreciate you so much for these wonderful explanations, insight that you have given into how to run a good orphanage home in Ogun State in particular, and of course, how you have stepped up your endeavors, your efforts to make sure that we have such homes that are running well and giving the best of care to those children. So we thank you so much. We go on this break now. When we return, there is still more to discuss on the program this time around. We are extending this mini interview segment till about 11 a.m. So we are bringing in another government official. CNG buses are coming on Ogun State Road. So don't panic. You may not need to spend that much buying fuel. If you can, key into that initiative. We'll be right back. Join us again.